This is a project that I began some years back, and I've relaunched it and called it Another Real Deal because it seemed a bit more amusing than just Real Deal 2. It's going to be an exhibition of 84 portraits held at the Linden Hall Studio, which starts on the 5th of Feb, runs for 3 weeks. And the project is basically a selection of portraits of a variety of people living in and around the town. Now these are not necessarily all true Deal people born and bred, but just people who now call Deal home. Black and white, and there's a book to accompany it, which is this one here. Last time I photographed almost 80 people and produced a book as well for that. It was sepia portraits. There are a few of them from last time are in the new book with a page of their own, but everybody who was photographed last time goes in the back of this book. I've done a kind of enlarged contact sheet style thing with everybody to make the link between the two projects. It's sort of an archive of people who love the town, our community, and I probably will move on and do another one at a later date, but we'll have to see.
Oh, nice. Would you think about doing it again?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I'd have to sort of recoup a little bit and gather myself together. It took me 8 years to get round to doing this one again, so well, nearly 8 years. I did get started haltingly about 2.5 years ago, and then it was just a few more people kept saying, "When are you going to do another one?"
Yeah.
And I thought, right, I'll just get my act together and start again. So yeah, the last one was 2010, and this one is 8 years later.
Yeah. It's just about in terms of people coming to see the show.
Yes.
Like, an average person comes in and sees this collection of Deal. Like, what would you hope they would be able to take away from it?
I would hope that they find it an inclusive experience. There's such a tendency in the world out there to be part of a faction, if you like, and to be and to think that people from certain other areas or backgrounds or whatever are different, and we're not. None of us are different. We all are very, very similar. And I think hopefully by reading also the bits and pieces that I've put in the book alongside people's photos, you get a bit more of a feel for who that person is, what they do, and the idea that they're normal and ordinary like everybody else. But that's also extraordinary, because we're just all people, and we all want to be part of something.
Oh, this is a celebration
and
of that?
Yeah, exactly. This is a celebration of the community, and it is a real cross-section of it.
Yeah. We're really looking forward to having the show together. I think it's going to be great to kind of include a lot of people who might not necessarily have been before. But
yes.
Just maybe you want to touch a bit on how you picked a few people.
It's a little arbitrary, I have to say, but of course the last time I did it, I'd only been in the town for a few minutes almost, and so I relied very heavily on people suggesting people to me. I mean, I had the lovely Harold Chapman was very instrumental in the beginning of all of this, and as I went along and met new people, I had other people suggested, and it sort of snowballed like that. And there were a number of people, well, there were loads of people still on the list that I hadn't photographed because you just couldn't. You had to stop somewhere, and back then the only place to exhibit anything of any size was the Astor. So having the Linden Hall around now is brilliant. So it's ideal. But anyway, this time around, I've been here nearly 12 years now. And I have to say, once again, it is slightly arbitrary. The Lord Warden was in it last time, and he's in it this time. And one or two of the people who were there last time are in this one as well. But I've got the probably the focus is a little bit more community minded. I've got the lovely ladies at the minor injuries clinic at Deal Hospital. I've got Deal Centre for the Retired. I've got the rather wonderful and glamorous Beverly Jane Last, who is our a local Deal first responder and does CPR training courses. I've got my local postman, who, by the way, I also look after his cat when he goes away, because I have another business doing that. I've got Prosper DeVas, who is a wonderful map maker, which many people will have seen and won't necessarily connect him with the
It's an amazing range of people.
It is. I don't know, there's a lot of fisherwomen, the pier master, the two lads who run the history project, Pete and, gone blank there, Pete Fishlock and George Chittenden. And I've got Pete Chittenden, Dad, with his wonderful buggies. Yeah,
it's a complete celebration of the town, isn't it?
Yes,
Makes it,
I've thrown in a few, in inverted commas, DFLs as well. There are some who spend an awful lot of time here and have been coming here for years, and because it's a cross section, it's a variety.
Because I've lived in lots of different places, but like there is something special about this area, and I don't know what, and you seem to have captured that in this show.
Well, I hope so. Yes, I mean I'm always fascinated by people anyway, and I love taking pictures of people because almost without exception, people don't like to be photographed. They say, but you can usually find a sort of way of getting them to be a bit more relaxed.
Because it's a wonderful collection of actual photographs, whether I knew the people or not.
Yeah.
But just maybe, what is your approach to getting to people to relax and to try and catch that thing?
I don't tell jokes or anything, and I've been known to flirt with some of the chaps I've photographed.
I didn't get that treatment.
But I mean, I have a few pat phrases which, you know, basically, because a lot of people think they've got to pose, and they sit there and they like rabbit in headlights, and actually you don't want them to pose. You want them to look away and then look back at the camera and have a nice fresh expression on their face. And you know, and some people blink a lot, and which is an awful nuisance because it usually happens exactly at the moment you press the shutter.
Yeah.
So you know, I say something silly like, "Well, you are allowed to blink, but please don't do it when I press the shutter." You know, and that makes them laugh, and you can usually catch a picture then. So it's just being, you know, real, I suppose, being normal with people, and not making a big issue about being a photographer. It's not easy to do, but it's not difficult either. As long as you've got to create some kind of rapport with the people who you're trying to photograph.
And just capture that moment that kind of sums them up, I suppose.
Yes, and I mean the pictures that are in the book, I mean I didn't just take one picture.
Yeah.
There were they could have been, with some people I took about 5 or 6.
Quite a few of my parents, I remember.
Yes, that was your dad's problem, I think. He thought he had to stand like a soldier, and most men do. They think they stand straight at you like a soldier, or as if they're having a passport photo done.
Yeah.
You know, which, you know, is obviously not what you want. But it's very, very rare that you can't get something pleasing on something that the people will be happy that they've done.
It was nice seeing people in their own environments as well.
Yes,
you know,
well that's important too, because you know, I've asked most people to say, where would you like me to photograph you? What do you want to be doing? There needs to be a connection. I mean, there's this phrase, locational photography. It just makes the link between who they are, what they do, and what they like.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
In terms of you know, Real Deal, like, what do you think there is something that makes Deal a special place?
Of course I do.
Yeah, and is that why you've done the book?
Well, part of it, I felt enveloped basically as soon as I arrived here.
Really?
Yeah, I was doing up a property as it happened, so I did meet quite a broad cross section of people that way, and neighbours were really friendly, and I got sort of drawn into a group of people quite quickly. I have to say I'm also quite nosy, so I go and say hello to people, and I push myself forward, so that helps. But honestly, it's I've lived all over the world. I was born in Africa. I went to boarding school, so I've learnt to sort of blend in a way into certain circumstances that perhaps I wasn't that familiar with. But Deal has really, I think it either embraces you, or it gathers you up, takes a sort of, checks you out or spits you out. It's one or the other. You either love it or it just doesn't gel. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And if you talk to so many people, I mean, a lot of the people in the book are incomers, if you like, people who've decided to make Deal their home like me. The stories they tell you about how they found the place are really quite fascinating. And the number of times it is, I got off a train, I sort of put a pin in the map, got off a train, walked to the seafront, turned around, wandered down a couple of streets and thought, this is it. It just has a feel, because it's not twee. It has so much going for it, and you can see it from wherever you are. It's just such a an interesting place, and it doesn't matter what your background is or where you come from. Generally speaking, people are open and don't, as long as you're a pleasant person, they don't particularly mind what your background is and who you are. That's what I've found at any rate.